welcome back to part 2 of this video series. In today's video, we're going to explore how breathing can not only help you reduce and relieve pain symptoms, but also help you speed up your body's natural healing process. So before we get started on today's technique, we're going to do a quick recap of our last video. And don't worry if you missed the last video because it's up here on the tag, so I'd highly recommend you check it out. But let's do a quick review anyway. So first take-home point is that pain is highly individual and that we need a broad approach to help solve our pain, right? So lifestyle factors such as sleep, stress, nutrition, even social support can be a factor in helping us recover from pain or injury. Our second point is that we want to start thinking like a detective and identifying the motions, postures, and loads that are driving pain in our lifestyle. And that should become a priority, is to actually stop the pain or identifying the source of pain. Our third point, which kind of ties everything together, is how we think about or reframe pain in our minds and thinking about pain as a suggestion for change. And one of the best quotes that I could think of to kind of summarize this is from Ray Dalio, and that is pain plus reflection equals progress. And that's what these videos are about, is to start applying some of those changes and reflections about what's going on to hopefully live healthier and be pain-free. And that's what today's video is going to focus on, is how can we change our breathing to get us out of pain or facilitate recovery. So believe it or not, breathing is one of the easiest and most effective things we can do, or changes we can make to help reduce and relieve pain symptoms. Having said that, there's various breathing techniques out there. The one that we're going to focus on today, however, comes from Dr. Kelly Starrett, and it's called mechanical breathing or 1 rep max breathing. And the specific intent of this style of breathing is twofold. The first thing it's going to do is help desensitize our brain, calming our nervous system, so we'll hopefully feel pain symptoms less. And the second thing it's going to do is help speed recovery by decongesting our system, by improving circulation and engaging our lymphatic system. So I'm sure everyone's heard the term movement is medicine, and that's the idea behind this 1 rep max breathing or mechanical breathing. The goal or intent of this style of breathing is to breathe as deeply and expansively as possible, which is going to expand the tissues, muscles, fascia, even bones of the trunk. And what this movement is doing is increasing circulation, but more importantly, engaging our lymphatic system. So think of our lymphatic system as our body's sewer system, and its primary role is to basically bring the garbage out, toxins, swelling out, and nutrients back in. The issue is, however, it relies on muscle contraction or movement for it to function optimally. So especially if you're dealing with any injuries around the trunk area, so neck, shoulders, back, this would be especially useful to help decongest the system. But even if you're not dealing with anything, guys, it's going to help just for aiding in recovery. So before we get started, guys, as I mentioned before, I am clearly not a doctor. So if you're unsure of any issues or injuries, you're pregnant or have a heart condition, I would either suggest not doing this or go get checked out or clearance from a doctor first. Also, I suggest you guys do follow along because that way you actually experience what it feels like. Having said that, if you're listening to this and you're driving a bulldozer, flying an airplane, or any heavy equipment or driving, please do not do that and just save it for when you're at home. So our setup for this, guys, is basically just find a comfortable spot on the floor. So I would recommend knees bent so it kind of supports the lower back. We're nice and relaxed on the floor, neck is supported as well. I'd also recommend shutting your eyes so you can really focus on the muscles, because this is kind of a new breathing technique. I'd also recommend putting one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest. So let's just run through one cycle of breath so we can see what it looks like, and we're going to back it up and layer it in. So just to note, ideally we're breathing exclusively through the nose, okay? So Celia's going to try to take a big expansive breath in to full expansion. Once she feels she reached the top, you hear that? She's letting it out fast, like a recoil, okay? So again, we're expanding and contracting those tissues. So inhale and exhale. So there's no pause or at the bottom or the top. So you just reach full inhale. Once you feel like you've got to that 100% rep max, then you let it out quickly and then try to let it all out as well too. So with the hand on the belly, let's focus on our first breath. So when we breathe in, that the hand on the belly rises first. So we're getting that diaphragm expanding. So inhale, reach the top, and exhale. Perfect. So next, let's layer in the chest. So the belly's going to rise first. The chest is going to rise as well too. Reaching full expansion. And exhale. Perfect. Okay. So next thing, let's focus on belly first, chest second, and also ribs and lateral expansion. So everything, your whole trunk expanding laterally. And then again, letting it out too. So one thing too, guys, is there's an endurance component to this. We may not have used these muscles to this capacity, so you might feel like you're losing your breath a little bit. That's fine. Take a break, stop, and then reset. We do not want to get caught up on this and switch to shallow breathing. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do, okay? So just reset and then start again. And then again, inhale, exhale, and again, getting even the bones, and you're tractioning the spine a little bit. You're getting those ribs moving, again, those bones moving, especially when we're a bit jacked up, right? When we're having a shoulder neck pain, we become tight, locked down, and rigid. Well, we're trying to introduce some pliability to the system. And exhale. Good. So ideally, guys, we start to build up to a 2-minute block. So you could think of it as 2 minutes or 20 to 30 reps like this. So this is the heart of the exercise that we're after. And we can ideally integrate this into our day or build up to 10 minutes, okay? The next layer of this is more on the lines of desensitizing the brain or increasing O2 delivery to the system. So what happens, especially when we're injured, right? We actually become CO2 sensitive and we get into that shallow breathing pattern. So this next technique is optional. Again, if you're pregnant, have a heart condition, don't worry about this. Just revert to the mechanical breathing. And all we're doing is we're going to do after the 2-minute bout, you're going to go into a one cycle of trying to lengthen that exhale as long as possible. So let's pretend we've done our 2 minutes or 20 to 30 seconds, 20 to 30 rounds, sorry. So we're going to do a big breathe in, full expansion. Again, let it out fast. Exhale, good, but just try to lengthen it as much as possible. We're letting that CO2 rise in the blood. So actually we need CO2 to be able to rise in the blood, which is going to increase O2 delivery to the tissues, right? That's the important thing. Good. And then you can flip back into your 1 rep max cycle as well too, okay? Another layer we can do is once we've done that full exhale, we can actually hold our breath. Again, this is optional. This is another way of letting those CO2 levels rise, which again is telling the brain that high CO2 levels is okay, which again is going to help desensitize the brain. So let's do a inhale, big expansive inhale. Once we reach the top, we're going to exhale as long as possible. And once you feel like she's got to the end, we're just going to try to hold our breath a little bit. Okay, again, completely optional. Do whatever you're comfortable with. If you feel like you're not up for this, no problem. Good. And then, of course, once you feel you can't hold your breath anymore, we go back into those full range exhales. Good. Another way, guys, if you want to help increase O2 delivery to the tissues is simply, next time you're out walking or exercising, is just try to exclusively breathe through the nose. Some people go as far as actually taping the mouth during exercise or taping the mouth during sleep, which might explain why I wake up with tape to my mouth every morning, so you tape my mouth shut. So anyway, that's another idea that you could do as well too. I'll put a link in the description box for that as well. So now that we've went over the technique, guys, we're going to actually go over some applications of when do we actually use this. Well, one of my favorite applications is actually to test and reset bad posture, whether it's standing or sitting. So here's how it works. So we know what it feels like when we're lying down to get that full expansive breath. Well, if we're in a bad position, like if I'm sitting or standing and I'm kind of slouched over, there's no way I can get that full expansion, right? So there's no way I'm going to get that lateral expansion and organize myself properly. So it forces you, say for example, you're at your computer or you're standing for long periods of time, you could just start adding in those 1 rep max breaths and just see if you can get to that position, and it's kind of going to automatically reset you into more optimal positions. So that's one of my favorite applications. The second application is we want to think of our mechanical breathing like our walking, right? Getting our 10,000 steps in. Ideally, we want to get accumulation of 10 minutes of mechanical breathing in, and we can microdose it, right? From anywhere from a 2-minute cycle or even 1 breath at a time. So, for example, let's say you're dealing with some chronic lower back pain. Well, typically for those situations, people find that their back pain is worse in the morning because that's when disc pressures are high. So I would highly recommend that you would go into a 2-minute breathing cycle first thing in the morning to, again, get those tissues moving. And then say if you're dealing with any like neck tension from sitting at your computer all day, well, try to get a micro dose of that during the day or getting some more breath work at the end of the day as well too. But again, the goal is to get 10 minutes. And again, it doesn't even have to be a 2-minute full cycle. So for example, when I'm walking my dog and I get to a red light, big breath in, full expansion, and it just makes sure I'm resetting my posture so I'm not in a bad posture while I'm walking. Remember, it's not just sitting, it could be standing as well too. Just organize this into a better position. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you found this information useful. Again, this is part 2 of a series I'm doing on reducing and relieving pain symptoms. And the big theme with all of us is that we want to view pain as a bit differently, as a suggestion for change. So hopefully this can be used for the next time you're dealing with some pain issues as one of those changes that's going to help move you forward. And again, even if you're not in pain, this is still very valuable for just longevity and helping aid recovery and just keeping injury free. Okay, so thank you so much again for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already and share if you can. Thank you. Bye.